Hello and welcome to your Southeast Idaho weather hazard and planning briefing for Sunday, April 11th. My name's Alex from the National Weather Service, and again, I'll point out the date and the day and date on the banner are incorrect. It is, in reality, Sunday, April 11th. So key points, we'll see quieter conditions after really an eventful week across central and eastern Idaho. Much quieter today and Monday. An area of low pressure, though, will take shape over eastern Oregon and Washington. That will approach our area as we get into Tuesday and potentially track very near or possibly right over our area from late Tuesday, Wednesday, and possibly into Thursday, maybe even lingering just a bit beyond that. That low will bring an increase in wind, rain, and yes, even another round of snow. But we want to emphasize there is still uncertainty in the forecast track of the low. And even the slight changes in the forecast track of the low will lead to some big forecast changes. But what we'll present to you here today is the current overall most likely scenario. So let's break it down by looking at the current satellite picture. And there is an area of low pressure here just north of central Montana. This low will kind of meander eastward across the northern plains through the next day or two, and an area of low pressure will break off of that sort of broad low and form right here over eastern Washington and Oregon on Monday, and then it'll very, very slowly drop south and east and track. Right now, the consensus tracks the low right along the southern Idaho border into midweek, and that is a favorable track for enhanced precipitation across the South Hills, Bear Lake region, eastern Magic Valley, and the southern Snake Plain. But again, if the low tracks farther north, the heaviest precipitation will go north with it. If the low tracks farther south, that could lead to a much drier forecast for central and eastern Idaho. But right now, again, the most likely solution takes the low along the southern Idaho border. So your weather impacts outlook, green is good. So again, little to no weather impacts today. We'll see some increasing northeast winds, though, across the Snake Plain on Monday, and just a few light showers across higher terrain areas. But action is expected to begin to pick up, especially as we get into later in the day of Tuesday. That's when a swath of rain and snow is expected to develop to our south and move northward into southern Idaho, particularly as we get into the afternoon and overnight hours Tuesday night. We'll see some increasing northeast winds over the Snake Plain, in particular across the Arco Desert and INL out of the northeast this time. And some of those winds could approach 40 to 45 miles per hour, and that'll create chop in area waterways as well, and also some cross winds, especially on those east-west routes, and even some of the north-south routes too, depending on exactly where you are. Wednesday, current forecast, most likely scenario, continues to indicate that precipitation will stream northward through the area, with temperatures by Wednesday morning currently forecast to be cold enough for snow, all locations, so including the Snake River Plain. And the low pressure is expected to kind of linger around the area through Thursday, and that'll favor continued development of rain and snow showers, starting off in the morning as snow across the lower elevations on Thursday and then transitioning over to rain on Thursday. But again, this forecast is subject to change, so encourage you to check back here as we get closer. Winds this afternoon, they'll be much lighter than what we experienced. Generally light and northerly across the northern half of the area, light westerly across the eastern Magic Valley, and northwesterly across the South Hills. And however, we will start to see some increasing winds out of the northeast as we get late into the day on Monday, as that low takes shape off to our west and eventually off to our south. That'll favor an increase in northeast winds. And as I alluded to, you can see that increase here. Wind gusts out of the northeast over 30 miles per hour in this yellow area and over 35 miles per hour in the orange area as we get into Monday night, and especially into Tuesday. We see that area of northeast winds expanding down into the eastern Magic Valley. So you can imagine the combination of strong gusty northeast winds, rain and snow potentially could make for some unpleasant conditions particularly as we get late into Tuesday and into Wednesday. Wednesday night, though, we do start to see the winds calm down. Again, changes in the track of the low will even have implications on our forecast winds, but as I mentioned, this is the most likely scenario at this time. High temperatures today behind yesterday's cold front, about 10 degrees below climatological normals for this time of year. We'll see very similar temperatures throughout the week. We don't anticipate a warm up until potentially next weekend. So for those wanting warmer weather, hang tight for another week or so. And as I mentioned, Wednesday, cool temperatures prevailing. We may even be a bit colder than this by the time we get into Wednesday. Now, we wanted to show you the present forecast for snowfall amounts from Monday through Thursday. Again, this is subject to change, but right now, what you can see is that locations that are favored for the highest snowfall amounts. Again, this is particularly going to be late Tuesday into Wednesday when the precipitation is heaviest and most consolidated. This is where the best chance for accumulating snowfall is a forecast to be during that time. And you can see some hints of a potential farther north low track. So if the low does happen to track across, say the central Snake Plain, then the central Idaho Mountains, Wood River Valley will be in the crosshairs for heavier snow, but those details are yet to be determined. And just to show you some snowfall probabilities just for Pocatello, you can see right now the most likely scenario Tuesday night into Wednesday for Pocatello is about a half inch, but that could be as high as an inch. And on the very high end of the scale here, at the top of this graphic, there is an outside chance for as much as 2 inches of snow. But right now, this black line here shows you that there is a 70% chance Tuesday night into Wednesday of seeing at least measurable snowfall in Pocatello. So paint the picture of just how much cooler temperatures will get by that time. So again, quieter conditions through Monday. We'll see an increase in northeast winds, though, particularly later in the day on Monday. A low pressure system then approaches or crosses right over the area from late Tuesday through at least midweek. Could linger into late week. That'll spread some rain and snow for all elevations. But again, as we talked about, even slight changes in the low track could have big changes in the forecast. So I encourage you to stay tuned as we get closer. In the meantime, though, if you have any comments, questions, or feedback, we welcome those to the mediums that you see here across the bottom. Otherwise, please join us again tomorrow. Thank you and have a good Sunday.